2 years. I've seen the challenges that this country has. I don't see these guys putting out their challenges daily, and saying the way their country is useless, their country is bad, it's this, it's that, and everything. I never see them doing that, yet they have crazy challenges here. So knowing how to deal with people is the first thing that you do when you go into a group. And when you meet somebody like this person lectured me, and called me again 3 days ago to lecture me some more. And I told them at some point, excuse me, I'm not able to do this anymore. I don't think it's right. And I told them, thank you very much, and I hang up. And I write them a text and I tell them, you called me last year, told me 1, 2, 3, called me the next 3 months and told me this about so and so. Now you've called me telling me about this and this. Unless you're willing to say these things in front of the people you're telling me, I'm sorry, I'm not able to continue being part of this. Jesus. The person went ballistic.
Does he have a name?
Totally. It's a lady. You cannot fight with a pig in the mud and win. Even if you win the fight, you're still dirty.
Big Ted, some weeks ago, we saw glimpses of an event or events held in your honor in LA. Please, maybe just to get us started, start by telling us what these events were and like what they were for, because they were kind of like, from what we saw, the events that were kind of in honor of you. So briefly, for those people who are not in LA, talk to us about those events.
All right, thank you very much. So what happened is a couple of people in the different states decided to hold farewell parties for me in LA. I'm actually headed to Seattle this weekend for a farewell dinner. And then, next week, Seattle for the farewell dinner. And San Diego, I was there also. It's basically the community saying thank you. For me, it's overwhelming because I didn't expect it. I wasn't working towards it. But they're telling me it's their way for thanking me for whatever it is that I've done and for the service that I've given to the community. So we had a church service, 2 church services, we had a barbecue, and we had a party in the night at one of the local clubs in Los Angeles.
Okay. Kwa hivyo kanisa, sherehe na park.
Really enough.
Okay, so you touched all the bases, all the different constituencies. Constituencies that typically we don't see, like Kenyan ambassador, Kenyan diplomats engaging, especially your constituency, ya parks, na your constituency, ya sherehe. So very interesting, Big Ted. Now, real quick, Big Ted, how much longer do you have in your tenure? We know the announcements were already made. Former IBC CEO Ezra Chiloba is the one who's slated to replace you. But how many more days, weeks, or months do you have before you get kicked out of the mansion?
Before he hands over.
Yani, you had to say kicked out.
If he doesn't leave, he'll be kicked out.
Omeralus don't get kicked out; they just move on.
Okay.
I have a week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
1 week in office before I head back to Kenya.
Okay.
And for purposes of conversation, is that I spoke to my incoming colleague today. We had a long conversation and discussion about life and just that whole thing of maneuvering and going around the diplomatic space, especially here in Los Angeles.
Okay, so interesting to know now, as you prepare to leave, and very surprising, it's just within a week. Now, for people who don't know, is there like a handover ceremony? Because this is very mysterious to Kenyans. We just see an ambassador and then we see another ambassador. We don't know what happens in between. So is there like a handover ceremony, like the way a former president will hand over to the new president, or rather an outgoing president will hand over to an incoming president? How does that transition work? Will you maybe be mentoring the new incoming Consul General Ezra Chiloba, or how exactly does it work? Do you guys never meet and it's just unatoka and then anangoja alafu ya anaingia? Just take us through that for those maybe who are not familiar.
All Well, number one, government never has vacuums. Government can never have a vacuum. Anytime somebody lives, there's always a system and a way and a process of the other person taking over. So there is already a very intricate process. Remember, this was announced 2 months ago. So for 2 months, we've been preparing to hand over. I have a deputy, a head of chancery, who I download a couple of things on. I have a first political officer, and then I have different other people in the office, including the incoming, who I share with bits and pieces of whatever needs to come in. And as the other person comes in, it just joins together like glue.
Okay, but do you guys meet each other? Hey, hello, how are you? Here's your office. I'm a own nenda. Nayana kuja kikuja.
There's no shadowing. Yani, you don't hand over a sword.
No, not really, because you see, even if you're leaving, you leave a senior officer who's able to take the next balozi onto the next step that he needs to take in. So for ours in particular, I have my handover notes, which I will send to him. I also have handover notes which he gets when he comes to the office. And of course, as a matter of courtesy, I've also done for him a letter, which will be on his table when he comes in.
Okay.
So you will not meet physically?
Not necessarily here, but probably in Kenya, most definitely we shall meet.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's quite interesting. And upon returning to Kenya, as you're going to Kenya, we normally see sometimes diplomats, like leaving the diplomatic post and transitioning into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So do you have your desk there waiting for you at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to push some papers, or do you join the millions of Kenyans in a jobless corner somewhere?
Ama uko na exit interview that does not involve foreign affairs.
Well, number one is once you exit the service, you're still an employee of the government of Kenya. And the government of Kenya chooses where to place you and in whatever capacity they require you to serve. That notwithstanding, is I have been a voice and a player in the creative economy in Kenya for the last 28 years. And I actually intend to go and be louder than I was before. And because just like in the Bible, it speaks about Joshua sending out this 12 spies into this promised land. And they went to this promised land, and 10 people came back with a bad report. But 2 guys came back with a good report, regardless of whatever it is that they saw. So I believe in this particular case, I'm the 2 who are coming back to tell you that, yes, we can conquer that market. We can be number 1. We can influence the culture there. We can influence the culture all over the world. And just to tell Kenyans that we are not too far. We're doing well. Our music is good. We just need to believe in ourselves more. In fact, let me help you. What this particular thing has just done is continue to solidify my thought and my belief that Kenya is a force to reckon with. We just need to believe in ourselves more.
Okay, now, Balozi, there's we've seen Balozis come and go, or let me say we've seen Balozis go and go, but we've never seen a Balozi go like you. We've never seen a Balozi go like you. Like typically, like maybe a small church group may host him, Kwaheri, but typically we've never seen this happen. So exactly what is it that you think you did different from others who came before, that when a lot of these others were leaving, it was like goodbye. Nobody was even eager to see. People were ready to see them go. So what is it that maybe you think that you did slightly differently, that everyone from every corner, from the religious circles, from the social circles, from the entertainment circles, everyone wants to host Big Ted and wants to say goodbye? And there was even a petition that was moving around that Big Ted must stay. So talk to us about what it is that you think has made people react in this different way compared to other Balozis. Big Ted.
I think the best person to tell me what is it that I have done would probably be you guys, because I am just being Big Ted. I am just that boy from Eastlands who God has blessed through the ranks, who is good with people, who is good with PR, who is good with putting his hands to things, and who thinks differently. But also, if you look at it differently and psychologically, it's just my generation is actually the people right now in America who are calling the shots. The you guys on the table there, by the way, big up Omosh from Zach in the UK, our cousin. He sends his love and his greetings. But our generation are the people on the table right now. So our people are mourning in the way they know, and they're celebrating in the way they best know how to celebrate. So what you're seeing is an outpouring of love. But I've also been shocked by people, our parents who are here in America, who have really, really, really agonized about this, held me in their hands and told me, listen, we still consider you our ambassador. We still want you to do 1, 2, 3 things. I think my style probably is what the diaspora had been waiting for. And it was just different. I came and I was everywhere. I don't think, maybe apart from 2 or 1 person in America can say that, oh, this guy maybe wasn't what I expected. But one thing also is, I remember when I first came and I was out here trying to put guys together and bring guys together. One of my friends, Nancy here in LA, Nancy Gakere, told me that, Ted, we shall push you back because we are not used to people like you. We're not used to the ambassadors, the Balozis being like you, where you're out there and everywhere. So expect a pushback from us. Nasiko ubaya. So I've just come to learn that probably I'll set the precedent for any other ambassador who can come to the States or come to LA to be able to follow. But again, also understand that whenever you're operating in your area of calling, then you always excel, because I cannot be as good as Jeff Koinange at being Jeff Koinange, but I can be the best than anybody at being Big Ted when I'm being Big Ted.
We are here with outgoing LA Consul General Thomas Kwakwa, aka Big Ted, who has served in this position since was it July or August of 22? Big Ted is gonna confirm that. I know it was around before that election time in 2022.
ChatGPT said 2020, boss.
Forget about. It wasn't even ChatGPT. It was Meta AI, which was just giving some random facts.
Okay.
But for those who don't know, Big Ted was once a mogul on the Kenyan entertainment scene. Maybe he still is, and he's here tonight on his last interview prior to leaving office, and we are happy to be hosting the last interview.
Kwaka.
Yeah, Kwaka. I mean, you know my Nairobi West accent. You know how it goes.
No.
Anyway, our lines are open.
Always pulls Nairobi West out of his name.
Our lines are open. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. I can see so many people are tuned in. Maswali bado hatujapata. This is the last chance you have to ever ask Big Ted a question. We don't know where he's going. Later on, he's going to be telling us whether he's going to be going into politics, whether he's getting a cabinet position. He's going to be revealing that on the show. We don't know exactly what it is, or if he's going to be a CAS, or if he's going to be on the Jobless Corner crew. We don't know. He's going to be telling us. So we want you to stay tuned. And then later, we'll talk about some unexpected challenges that Big Ted encountered while working with diaspora Kenyans. You know that diaspora Kenyans are very complicated.
And very special.
Yes, and a very special group of people. He'll be telling us that. But before we go back to Big Ted, I want to come back to the studio. I think Bandio is the one who had a question. Bandio, twende kazi.
All right, Honorable Big Ted, I say salam. Now back to Ali's question. My question is, what I would like to know, how or who dictate your schedules? Like, what do you do from Monday to Friday? Is it coming from the State House back home, or is it just you? I mean, who really schedule what you do? And once I know that, maybe that's the reason why you're doing things different and people are so in love with what you do. So if you can tell me, it's like Monday to Friday. I mean, how do you decide what to do, when to do?
All right. So my priorities are usually on Tuesday to Thursday. Tuesday to Thursday is what we call our consular days at the consulate, where we give passports, IDs, things like that. So I always make sure that I'm in the office between Tuesday to Thursday. Monday usually is my field day. I have tried during the Mondays to visit Kenyans who are doing business, Kenyans who have their hustle, where I can go just sit with them, whatever it is. I'm going to a garage, and just sat there half a day with the guy, just talking and finding out what exactly he's doing. And then Fridays, the typical diplomatic day ends at midday. But I find myself working towards the whole day because that's when I do a lot of meetings and networking. One of the biggest things about diplomacy is you must be a people's person. And in fact, when I go to Kenya, one of the things I want to keep on pushing is not the fact that necessarily you need a degree or whatever. What you need is to have is passion for your country. You need to be able to lift your flag regardless of wherever it is that you are. And I found myself that that has worked very, very well. Who dictates my schedule? You actually plan your own schedule because you see you're your own boss and you have a whole team of people to follow up in. So what I try and do is I focus on the office, but I also focus on key events and happenings outside that I'm able to get myself into to just build and to help the Kenyan perspective that I have.
Okay. So last question. I know you've been what I consider successful ambassadors amongst East Africans here. And if I'm not mistaken, also you leave a letter to your upcoming ambassador, right? What do you think will be your advice to him? You don't have to give us details, but would you tell him about, hey, be a people person, spend time in DC and not in Missouri, Are you going to give him some do's and don'ts, right?
Call the
No. I
show.
think I spoke to him today we had a 2-3 hour chat. And for me, the biggest thing is just for him to set his own legacy. You see, I keep on insisting. In Kenya, we say Jeff Koinange probably is the best newscaster. But I tell young people, they will never, ever be as good as Jeff Koinange at being Jeff Koinange. They can only be better than Jeff Koinange when they are themselves.
Their own version.
So I don't think he's coming in to be me. He's coming in to set his own thing, and maybe he has his own strengths that he needs to focus on. Otherwise, if he tries and do Big Ted, or does a Big Ted, then he'll always struggle because I mingle with people easily. I'm at a party very easily. I'm at a funeral very easily. I'm at a wedding. I just mingle because that's who I am. So it's just for you to bring in your characteristic and your character and make sure that your character is what defines your legacy and your job.
Okay, asante sana. That's very profound. Try your best to be yourself, because constantly, people who are trying to find themselves, they try to find themselves by trying to be other people, and that just doesn't work right. Try to find where you are anchored, and that's how you're gonna become the best version of yourself. Back to the studio again before we come back to you, Big Ted. DJ Omosh Fire, I asked Big Ted a question and he threw it back at us. Maybe we are the ones who should say, what exactly it is that we feel he did differently, to the point where people are almost sad to see him leave. What exactly is it from your perspective, Omosh Fire, from the first time when we interviewed him when he was still fresh here, and right now when he's almost leaving? What is it that you feel that he did in a very different way that maybe touched you or touched other people in ways that they did not expect? DJ Omosh Fire.
I'd say...
And Omosh, I'm not talking about buying for you food at anti-theft in Kenya. It's not about food, it's about work.
It's about work. It's about work. Those domestics mtasort baadaye.
You may attend.
Ukutoboa vitu.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me answer the question as I was asked.
Anti-theft.
I can't with this guy. So I would say being accessible, easy to communicate to, and also being honest and an open book. We haven't had accessibility to folks in the diplomatic corps. And when we have had that type of connectivity, we've always had to go through either some sort of communication channel or some media person or something like that. And in the case of Ted, we have direct access. So there's nobody else who's translating things. And he's been very much an open book with us on the show and off the show. in terms of things he sees, things he's doing, and things he wants to do. All, again, encompassing the diaspora. And bottom line of it is in the name of Kenya. So for me, I think that's the big takeaway for anybody else who is trying to do this ambassadorship thing. Basically, you need to find a way to reach your audience. Who are the people where you're assigned?
Okay. Omosh, asante sana. Uno Mike.
Yes.
Same question that went to Omosh. Is there what is it that you saw? Because we've been interacting with Balozi from when he touched down to now that he's almost 1 week to being kicked out of the McMansion in LA. What is it that you feel that he did different, that he was able to touch so many people in a way that we've not seen almost any other diplomat do in our lifetime here in the US?
It's thank you for that question. It's interesting. I was having a tete-a-tete debate one-on-one pertaining this particular interview with Big Ted, and I just said what I said was Big Ted reminds me of Odembo, and how Odembo was outgoing, like reaching out. Like there's one time he actually castigated the Baltimore community because he had been more out of the DC area, DMV area, than he had been to Baltimore.
Yeah. And
he was like, you guys have been waiting for your invite, like, and I'm just down the street, but I've been everywhere else. But you know what, finally he was invited. But I think it's also it's the accessibility. It is the way he set out to put a functioning system. Many of us did not know what the LA consular does. The
LA Consul General, yeah. We always knew there was an LA Consul General.
But we don't know what they do.
But it was a mysterious
we don't know. It was just a position that was there. We don't know what exactly they did, their job description, whatever. Now only people guys from Cali around that area can tell us, can effectively tell us with what has been done in the last 2 years or during Big Ted's time, how effective his foot stamp has been. But it's his, even in other groups that we can see, the way he communicates, the way he talks to people, it's also a way sometimes people come for him, but there's a way on our Poesha.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's talk. There's no point of matter. Let's talk. What's going on? This, that, and he's really trying to enhance the gospel of Kenya can do better.
Yes.
Simple as that. I think that, and I'm yet to see somebody who does that.
Yeah.
Maybe Odembo, but we never really got a chance, especially with social media, stuff like that. But what this guy has done, based with the tools that he has, it's commendable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So quite interesting. A couple of comments are coming here. I'm going to read them. A couple
questions.
of questions are coming. But for me, real quick, it was when Balozi came, when he was appointed, I did not know what to expect. This was a different kind of appointment. We've not necessarily seen, especially people who've been known to be in that entertainment space being appointed. So it was a clean slate. I did not know what to expect. It was a time when we were transitioning from the former president to the current president. And to me, the one thing that made me realize very early on that we have something different is that I can't remember exactly it is who gave me his number. I was put in a WhatsApp group. I texted him. I was 99.759% sure I'm not going to get a response. But I did. And at that moment, I realized, okay, this guy doesn't know me. I have texted him and he has responded back, which is something we typically do not get, from diplomats. Even their phone numbers are typically very classified information. You will never find them. You're told to send an email on the official channels in the embassy. Sometimes you send an email, there's no response. And Big Ted from the very beginning, from very early on, he tried to start correcting that at the very beginning. He understood that, okay, I've come in a system, it has challenges, it has issues. So rather than fight everyone who brings this up, how about, I challenge them, I tell them, yes, we know these issues have been there, let's solve them together. That's a point when I knew there was something different about Big Ted, and we would possibly be getting something interesting along the way. Now, Pablo's question, let me see. I don't know whether that question is still here. Mazimepotea.
Ziko. So
ask Pablo's first. He has a question for Balozi. He says first, thank Balozi for his service. And Pablo is asking, is there anything he feels he did not achieve during his tenure? Let's pause on that question.
Yeah.
We're gonna come to that. We're gonna come to that shortly. And then also, I can see the other question is looking back. Does he feel like he was prepared for the job? I know he has spoken about passion and not degrees. Therefore, what prepared him for this job and enabled him to be a different consul? So we're also going to get to that. Keja Graphics, karibu sana. Apple Pablo is sending a private message to Mubelo. I don't know about Omosh na camera.
and tissues.
And then Slay is saying, Big Ted brought a breath of fresh air in how he reached out to the community. He made himself so accessible and answered lots of questions on the services he offered. I also saw him unite creatives in LA, which I think is a big thing. A true servant leader. This was really amazing. May Balozi go well, and may he continue to prosper. I think one other big thing that I'm going to say Balozi did in that entertainment scene, which we're going to get to, we had a lot of people who never even used to talk to each other. They hated each other so much that they never even talked to each other. But he got people in common forums where people that never used to talk to each other are now talking and are now addressing issues, in one place. But we're going to get to all that. Balozi, want to come back to you. Many were surprised by your appointment. That was back in 2022. Given your background in entertainment and no experience in being a diplomat, what were your initial expectations into this role? This is before now you came in. Balozi.
All right. So just like everybody else, I was pretty shocked. I never asked for this job. But the former president and the current president saw it wise, because I kept on pestering them about the issues of the creative economy. And that's something which I keep on telling everybody, that if I'm with you every day for 10 years and I don't know what your passion is, it's very hard for me to align you with your passion. One of the things that everybody who's close to me knows I love the creative economy. I love talent. I love sport. I love being able to bring guys together. I love when people are together. And most of all, I have a passion for people, and especially nurturing and mentoring people. So I guess this is the thing which made the president say, okay, this guy can fill this position very, very well, and let him go into it. But I always say, everything is transient. You never can say that this position is yours for life. I think it's never yours, it's just your turn. So that being my policy, when I came into the office, to be honest, I had no expectation, because I had never been a diplomat before. I had never served in a diplomatic post before. In fact, it's only one of my uncles who was an ambassador in a certain level, but also I never really interacted with him before. And just for the purposes of conversation, Elkanah Odembo is also my uncle.
Okay, interesting.
By
information.
By Luoism. He's the uncle, friend to the uncle, the nephew. He's my dad's friend. And I think what sells it is, I remember when I first came to LA, I met up with my friend RK, the producer. And I remember RK asking me, telling RK that, by the way, RK, you know what, man, I don't know how I'll do this. I don't know anything about diplomacy. And he told me, no, you're already a diplomat. You fit so well into this. But I was like, how do I fit very well? I don't know what's meant to happen. I Googled, I checked out anything. The biggest element of diplomacy is people-to-people skills, number one. Number two, is you being able to associate the people and the need. So there's a need in the community. What is the need? How are you able to make sure that the people feel that their needs are being taken care of, even if you don't solve all of them? One of the things I think which people felt is that even if I can't solve the problem, I will listen and I'm available for them.
Okay, all right, good. A comment here coming on the YouTube side for all the people who are tuned into YouTube. I can see Wachibu is tuned in. And Wachibu says, Big Ted has been the best. He listens, incorporates, and genuine passion to see Kenyans prosper. More love, more power to Big Ted. All the best. So that's coming from YouTube. So please feel free to drop your comments. The number 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. This is the last interview that Big Ted is doing as the LA Consul General, unless like someone sneaks up after us. But he has 1 week to go. So this is the last interview he's doing. So this is your chance to ask any questions. I can see Udi here has a question. Is there a chance embassy can visit other big towns for passport renewal? I think this is kind of like an official question. I'll let you answer it real quick because you're still LA Consul General. Big Ted.
You're muted.
Uko mute.
The State Department of Diaspora came up with this wonderful thing called the MCS, Mobile Consular Services. Now, it had been happening before, but now it's been made as a policy in the State Department. And part of it is to go around the various towns and countries. I think right now we're doing number 60. I know the team is heading out to Brazil, to Kingston, Jamaica, Caribbean islands, and coming back down into the States. So yes, we are able to do that. But remember also what we use is the ratio per capita. So we look at an area and say, this area has this number of Kenyans. Is it easier for these 20 guys to come to the next town for us to do it? So you might be in an area which maybe you're 20 or 40 or 60 of you, but how can we round you guys up to come to another place? So we're going down the various number of areas with the number of Kenyans, and then we shall come back still down. What you need to do is just simply contact the embassy, say, I'm from this area, would love you to come to us, and then it shall be put in the plan and the program.
Okay, all right. Okay, good. I think that answers your question, Udi. Now you need to direct your question to now Ezra Chiloba. That's going to be the new LA Consul General. And then there's a new one who's coming to DC. I think his name is David Kerich. And I don't know exactly when they will be reporting, but we're going to find out. Keja here says, what time does he need to achieve his goals? Yes, bring out the potential. So we're going to get to that. I'm not sure exactly what that question means, Keja. And then Kel Njoki, all the way from California, says, this is so honorable, the OneMicShow. Balozi remains one of a kind. He really brought the LA office back. Like people did not even know, a lot of people did not even know of the existence of the LA office.
Let alone what services they can offer.
Yes, let alone what services they can offer, especially people who are out there in those farther west states. Like we would have people come all the way to DC not knowing that they could have taken a shorter flight to LA to get some of those services that they were looking for. And then Keja Graphic says he has a question. You can type your question, Keja, or you can call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Now back again to you, Big Ted. Upon reporting to your post, like when you first came, you very quickly developed a reputation for innovative approaches towards our diplomacy. What is this? And I know you've maybe mentioned this a bit before, but what inspired this style of engaging constituents when the diplomatic corps that was previously there was known not to engage? I mean, this is a new profession you're walking into, and you're walking in with a totally different style. Big Ted.
All right. So I think probably that last statement has been my biggest gain, that I did not come with a set mind. I'd never done it before. So I was coming into the field just fresh and saying, you know what, I'm going to use this route. Technology has helped us. that we are able to do so much. I know you guys tried using AI, it failed you earlier on, but technology has its gains. And part of the gains that technology has enabled me to be able to be effective. I'm in over 200 WhatsApp groups in America, and I join one every day. Why? Because if that is where people are, then as the Consul General, that's where I'm meant to be. Because I wasn't sent here to hang out with two people. I was sent here to serve the whole of the populace available. So I'm in groups even for Dallas, DC, Wisconsin, Alaska. I mean, some strange groups just for them to feel that the ambassador is here. And why? The other reason why some of the groups are very heated and why they try and direct all their bullets towards me and their firepower is simply because some people have questions they want to ask government, and they've never had government with them. So I'm a representative, whether they like it or not, of the government, of their government. So whether they love the government or they don't love the government, I am the representative of the government in that group. So sometimes when guys are really harsh and crazy and everything, it's not kwa ubaya. It's just that niko na swali na serikali, na since I can't speak to the president, wewe ndo ndakuuliza na lazima unijibu. So I just take it as it is.
Okay, and now that's quite interesting. But then again, and you've already talked about the question that I'm going to ask you next, which was because despite your passion, there are hurdles that you must have faced, including, you know, like people being outright disrespectful and sometimes being abusive in some of these WhatsApp groups that you've put yourself out there. Maybe what are some of other unexpected challenges that you encountered while working with people in the Kenyan diaspora, Big Ted?
I think one of them is basically, but remember, I've done this for about 28 years, so I'm my skin is well insulated against quite a bit of stuff. One of the most stranger ones, which happened just a few days ago, is there's a particular person who keeps calling me, and they kept giving me data about other people, and I keep quiet. They'd give data again, they'll call me, and this was a very strange one because they wanted a favor from me, and because I wasn't able to give them the favor a year ago, they actually went ballistic on me the other day, and they kept telling me, to be honest, they actually wanted to have a party in my house, but I refused because of I'm a visitor here. I can't do it. They're very as a diplomat and as an ambassador, I have to follow so many rules. And as I'm here, can you imagine the person lectures me how this is not even my house, how I don't even live in Beverly Hills, as I said. I just live somewhere in LA. I mean, that house is not even nice. And in my head, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, do I answer this or do I keep quiet? You know? Now, my training is I never react to your energy. And before I talk to you, I have to understand where are you coming from. You see, you might be asking a question from a place of pain. Me attacking you with pain is wrong because I don't have the pain. I can't feel the pain. So you can also attack me from not knowing, you know? Like I hear a lot of people on social media putting out stuff about the government, about the president. In my head, I'm like, but that's not true. Or about Kenya, someone saying, oh, Kenya is useless, it's the worst country. So like now there's this flooding thing which has been going on. And when guys place those things on social media, I make sure I post next to it Houston, which was also flooding. I post Dubai, which is also flooding. I post Tanzania, which is also flooding. I post any other country that is flooding right now due to global warming. Just to show you that, listen, someone posted the other day and said, with all the money we've spent making an airport, this is useless. Immediately, I posted the Dubai airport. So that you can compare, it's the same thing, it's a flood. One may be man-made, one is God, but it has happened. How do you quantify that? I think sometimes we are too harsh on ourselves as Kenyans. We are too harsh on the country Kenya just to make ourselves feel good. Because I've been living here for 2 years. I've seen the challenges that this country has. I don't see these guys putting out their challenges daily, and saying the way their country is useless, their country is bad, it's this, it's that, and everything. I never see them doing that, yet they have crazy challenges here. So knowing how to deal with people is the first thing that you do when you go into a group. And when you meet somebody like this person lectured me, and called me again 3 days ago to lecture me some more. And I told them at some point, excuse me, I'm not able to do this anymore. I don't think it's right. And I told them, thank you very much, and I hang up. And I write them a text and I tell them, you called me last year, told me 1, 2, 3, called me the next 3 months and told me this about so and so. Now you've called me telling me about this and this. Unless you're willing to say these things in front of the people you're telling me, I'm sorry, I'm not able to continue being part of this. Jesus. The person went ballistic.
Does he have a name?
Totally. It's a lady. But she went ballistic.
Does she have
totally.
a name? Does she have a name?
Of course she has a name.
Okay.
But she went totally ballistic. Totally, man. And what was telling me, I'm going to put this on social media and everything. I like, it's okay, man. You know? One thing I've learned is you cannot fight with a pig in the mud and win. Even if you win the fight, you're still dirty.